CTA, and I was quite amazed. Of course, we have the New Healthy Kids Act, which is New Healthy Youth Act, which is the curriculum that is now in our schools for 7th through 12th graders, and there is apparently no opt-out when it comes to teaching sexual orientation, gender identity. That is a whole other subject, and I don't have time to go into it right now. But another one is, they endorsed, this one shocked me, Senate Bill 239, and this was just passed in October. Intentionally infecting someone with the HIV virus is no longer a felony in the state of California. CTA endorsed that. That's right. This one, of course, you know, well, Senate Bill 179 that was passed in October, this October, that now in California, starting January 2019, we will have an official third gender called non-binary. And reading in the CTA magazine, it gives the definition of non-binary. You may think it's just transgender, but it's actually a gender spectrum, such as we have autism, so we have a spectrum. It's called expansion, and some of the curriculums call it the queer umbrella. But this one is, first of all, we have ambigender. This is, I have it, by the way, there's handouts over there with a lot of laws that I'm not telling you all of them, I'm just highlighting a few. And on the back is the CTA article with the gender expansion definitions. So to define non-binary, we have ambigender, meaning that you can be both genders at the same time, male and female, using the pronoun of they or them. You can be agender, which means that you don't associate with either gender, and your pronoun is zir. You can be gender fluid, which means you fluctuate between male and female, depending on the week or the month or how you feel. And that means you fluctuate between he and she pronouns. You can be questioning because now you're really confused. Or of course, gender nonconforming, which is transgender, which means gender expression is outside of their assigned sex at birth. So these things, many people don't understand that these are the definitions that are going into our curriculum, and I actually brought some samples of the curriculum if you want to see it for yourself. But this is what we need to get out. And how many of you know a public school teacher? Good, because we have a perfect storm, and I believe God has created a perfect storm. If Janice wins the Supreme Court, and we will know by June, right? Take it. Then, and looks like probably he will win, that means that union membership will no longer be mandated, but it will be a choice. And this means that if we can get the word out to what the union is really behind, then I think most teachers, when I talk to teachers and my friends and my peers, they have no clue about this. And some of them frustrate me because they say, I don't want to be involved, I don't want to get political. But the problem is, I understand the local union, you know, they help us with our benefits, they help us get raises, but the way I see it is Jacob and Esau. Are we going to sell our birthright for a bump in our paycheck? Really? You know, we have to, there's enough is enough. We have to make our stand. And the teachers, I'm praying that there will be a teacher mutiny to expose some of these things, because if you go to, this website is very telling. It's called CaliforniaSafeSchools.org. And I have it on the back of that sheet. It is so blatant about taking away parental rights. It asks the question, do parents have a constitutional right to prevent their children from receiving education in public schools on subjects they disapprove?
Yes.
The answer?
Yes.
Almost never. Parents do not have veto power over the content of public school instruction. If parents choose to place their children in public schools, parent rights are outweighed by the state's interests in educating students. They are not legally required to excuse students from curricular activities such as diversity education. The interests of the school and the student in education outweigh parents' interests in preventing their children from being exposed to ideas that conflict with religious tradition. I find that very disrespectful and offensive. And there's even another one that's more offensive than this after it. If you go online, you can read it. But just 2 days ago, I thought, I wonder who put that website out, actually. I went to the steering committee. It says about us. Guess who was at the top? CTA. California Teachers Association was at the top. As Rosie mentioned, I'm just going to blow your mind a little bit more because this is a slippery slope, right? And I work for Santa Ana Unified, I'm a teacher, and the key is the non-discrimination policy. Read the non-discrimination policy in some of the districts. For Santa Ana, there's very interesting wording, and if you go to the homepage and you go all the way down, it'll say important policies. Click that, and it'll come up with the non-discrimination statement, and it says, you may not prohibit, the district prohibits discrimination based on perceived race and ethnicity. So now we have race and ethnicity is now based on perception. And so it's not only our gender that is not based on our chromosomes or, biology, it's only based on how we think in our psychology, but now we're going into the land of ethnicity is now based on our psychology and how we perceive ourselves. So I looked up the definition officially, and it said it's how you self-classify and it's how others observe you. I think people of color should get outraged on this, because what did MLK fight for? This undoes everything, I believe, of the civil rights movement. And Judges 21:25 says, and in the last days everyone did whatever seemed right in their perception. Isn't that interesting? The New Living Version says in their perception. So thank you for your time, and if you want to talk to me afterwards, I do have samples of curriculum to look at.